Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Call of Cthulhu Masks of Nyarlathotep. I am your keeper. Oh, I fucked up the intro. That's okay. I was just throwing my mojo was thrown off. I'm so sorry. My name is Alex Xander Rabitsky, and I will be your keeper of arcane lore. You may just call me the keeper. I nailed it.
First try. Beautiful.
First try. Curse stream. Here we go. Tonight we continue our pulp horror investigation through the world of the Cthulhu mythos, the epic adventure known as Masks of Nyarlathotep. Some of you who are joining us might realize that, the background looks different. And you'd be right. What was previously our New York overlay is now our world map overlay for travel purposes, because we're not just in New York anymore. So, it's live, baby. Anyway, tonight I am joined as always by my friends here at Nerd Remix. We have the Florida-based and a little late Split Guardian.
Hi, I'm drunk.
You're the most valid. We are also joined by Atwis.
It is time to face the consequences of our actions.
We have Upgraded Moon, also known as Jordan.
Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a bitch. Oh, well, put that one away.
Oh my fucking god.
So moving on from that bit, we have Brodingles. Man.
I can't even do it now.
Hold on, give him a minute. Give him some room.
Thanks. I would like to thank my good friend Jordan Upgraded Moon for ruining my fucking bit. I'm done. No, it's too late. I don't
Well, okay. Sure thing.
I love you very much.
I love you too, homie.
Well, anyway, and last but certainly not least, we are joined by, in part for the time being, by Kristen Crime Straczynski.
Hi, I'm in horrible pain, but I want to be here anyway, so here I am. Whee!
We're off to a great start tonight, you guys. But you know, it's not I'm not gonna say this is a bad thing, because we're writing the coattails of like an extremely emotional episode last week. So the part of me is like, okay, cool. There's some cursed funny energy in the air today, and you know what? That might be needed given the PTSD horror we were going through last week. So that was certainly a time. So anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for watching. We're very excited as we jump into episode 11 of our Call of Cthulhu Masks of Nyarlathotep series. Overall, episode 20, like, of our collective Call of Cthulhu show. Like,
Wild.
crazy, bonkers. But regardless, we're gonna jump right into tonight's game since we have a little bit of a late start. We're gonna get the train on its tracks, the show rolling right along, because last time our group of investigators, known as the Disaster Gang, who truly tonight are living up to their title, the Disaster Gang finished plumbing the depths of Juju House, discovering an unearthly eldritch creature known as the Chakota in the well in the ritualistic sacrifice chamber in the shop's basement. James had a PTSD time. Everyone struggled with a coat for a little bit. They stole evidence, which the police were cool with. And ultimately, in the following days after Juju House, a lot of things happened. First of all, the group went back with the help of Lieutenant Poole and killed the Chakota, and then filled the pit with cement to just lock it away for all time. Additionally, Mason put on a weird mask they found, and he got sent to the 5th dimension.
I almost died.
He almost died.
Almost died.
Sybil got a bunch of new books that
I
are
got so many books
that will be delivered in a few that will go through in a few days, but technically she already owned them, as I've confirmed.
Sybil's very excited.
Yes.
Probably too excited. Definitely too excited.
But
Definitely too excited.
in summary, the group effectively looked at a bunch of things that were found at Juju House, including a book that was from the Harvard Library called Africa's Dark Sects, which had a chapter on the cult of the Bloody Tongue, offering some interesting insights from an explorer named Nigel Blackwell into some cult practices from years past. Additionally, Kit and Sunil, along with Aaron Sullivan, have headed up to Boston so that Kit can actually go home for the first time in years. So, and face the consequences of his actions. So that's certainly a thing that's happening. Truly, we started off on such a note that my head is spinning. So now I'm just like, is that everything? Are we good? Is there anything else I'm missing from the details, or does that cover it?
That's about it.
I feel like that covers it.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Well, then why don't we go ahead and start with, let me find it. Where's the music? I think we should start with the Boston group for a little bit first, because in the timeline, their stuff comes first. So we're gonna take a moment to focus on Kit and Sunil and Aaron, who have embarked this morning on a train bound for Boston that will arrive, in later afternoon. I believe today is, and we're getting so funky with the timelines. I believe today is the 27th of January. Because I think you were snowed in for an extra couple days, or no, it's the 28th, because the 27th is when the when Sybil got reached out to by Erica, and then I believe you guys left the next day.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
it was the day after the mask incident.
Correct. Well, you guys find yourself, for the better part of, this morning and into the afternoon, on the 4.5-hour train journey from New York to Boston. An uneventful, train ride through the heavily snow-filled countryside, leading all the way into Massachusetts, and from there eventually Boston, but several long stretches of just white hills and forests that steadily give way to, for you, Kit, the familiar sights of what is, or rather I should say what was, once home.
Yeah, and as we get closer and closer, Kit gets more anxious and more anxious. And Snail's probably seen this descent into anxiety as we reach destination multiple times before at this point, but pretty much at the end of it, Kid is sort of sitting in his seat. His fucking knee is jiggling, he's sort of like tapping, and it's just... he's a bit of a wreck.
Understandably so. How's Sunil doing?
Sunil, generally speaking, is kind of like he personally is on the inner like, oh, I get to finally do this, but also he's just watching Kit at this point, and he's just like, it's one of those where any like excitement he feels gets kind of quelled a little bit, knowing how tough this is on Kit specifically. So he's probably at the point where he's just gonna like just be like, I'm not going to ask if you're okay necessarily, but you probably, most likely, 99% will be fine. And I won't ask, do you think you're ready? But and he just kind of puts a hand on Kit's lap.
Yeah. No, Kit sort of takes the hand. No, I mean, you're right on both accounts. You know, for all the things that have happened in the past only few weeks, you'd think. Would you believe me if I told you that this is the most scared I've been?
At this point, yes, actually. You're taking a step. You are taking a step. You acknowledge that, yes?
Yeah. I wish it was under different circumstances, but knowing me, I needed something to kick me into gear, I guess.
God, I wish the circumstances were different for this. I admittedly kind of wish we... Kid, you've told me before why you've been so separate.
I wish I had a better way to explain it. I don't know, coming back here and seeing everything familiar, no, I couldn't stay here for more than a few months after I came back to the States. After they were done, Kit sort of like gestures up at the right side of his face. After they were done putting me back together, everything was different. Everything was different. I don't know if it was... I wasn't me anymore. And everyone expected someone else, and I didn't know how to explain that I wasn't that. Yeah,
It's like Sunil squeezes his thigh a little bit, and in like a show of reassurance, And he's kind of just like, well, when it comes to you not being the person you were anymore, I understand that you're surrounded by people at that point expecting someone who's not there anymore. That's what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you feel that the person you are now is someone that you believe that they'd be willing to meet?
It could sort of like, it's as if like the notion hasn't like struck him before. It's as though he's like, something is like shocked him. It's as though it's been dunked in cold water. Just a sort of like I think so, actually. No, I think so.
This might sound like an entire charcuterie board of cheese at this point. But I loved meeting this you. I'm sure that those who knew you but knew the person that existed before would also love to meet this you, and I think they should be allowed to meet this you, and I quite love this you.
You, thank you. That, means so much to me. No, I'm honestly, if we're being honest, I think I'm probably doing the best I've ever done. Maybe ever. So, thank you for that.
And Sunil like takes his hand from his thigh to Kit's other hand and grabs it, holds it a little bit, rubs it a little bit. He's just like, I think this is gonna go pretty swimmingly, all things considered.
Nah, it'll be great. Trust me. My mother will love you. She's great.
You've told me plenty about her. I'm quite excited to meet her on my own end, but oh, goodness.
Yeah, it'll go great. We'll meet her. We'll go to Harvard. We'll return that. Kid sort of like pats his bag, that book, and I mean the rest of the Harvard library would. I mean, I'm an alumni, so it'll be at your disposal if you so choose. So there's that.
Sunil, like, because you can't see me, you can't see them doing this. Sunil, like, in a very, like, playful, overly dramatic way, is, like, fanning himself, like, oh, goodness, the Harvard Library?
I know. Right. Well, thank you. It'll be fine. I've missed you.
I missed you, too.
The train eventually reaches Boston, a little bit later into the afternoon. Fucking cold out. If New York was cold, this is somehow colder. But stepping out for the first time into the air surrounding you, disembarking from the train with your luggage, and Erin is being here as she is, probably is taking all the charge in the world with securing transport back to the homestead, getting hauling a cab, a car.
No, absolutely. She just sort of took the bags, was like, you two just, God, you're a mess. I'll take care of it. Just go whatever. Anyway, and she does like
Thank
the
you,
really loud
Aaron.
whistle thing, and she
Incredible, truly iconic.
Spitfire of a woman.
But the train ride turns into a car ride, which eventually comes to a stop out front of what is certainly to you what is, not to go too deep down the depression train, but like what is both a familiar and deeply unfamiliar location. I actually would like you, Alice, to describe what the Sullivan residence looks like.
Okay. All right. It is very different from, I guess, what the New York Sullivan residence would have been.
Mhm.
It's a little larger. It's a little more well kept. There's a garden. It's in the nicer part of town. It's a larger, sort of place. And for as much as there was a pervading awkwardness that existed in the New York apartment, at least in this place, it looks well lived in and well loved. If you look, like, if you step inside for a moment, there's furniture, there are pictures hanging on the wall, it's warm, there's probably a fire going, and there's probably tea, and it's comforting in a way that just couldn't really be managed by Ryan, not for lack of trying or lack of desire, but it's different. It's a very different place, and it's inviting, honestly.
Getting out of the car, getting the bags out, getting, Aaron paying the cabsman, and turning around from the cab to face the house, the door is already opening, and stepping out to stand in the front door, and you see the familiar face of... No, that's not enough. I'm gonna go deeper with these adjectives. You see, much like a lighthouse on the edge of a stormy cliff, the face of your mother looking out to you from the front door. A still beacon of warmth, safety, and love. Once again, to drive this home, I would like you to describe what Mary Sullivan looks like.
Mary Sullivan is she's a small woman. She's significantly smaller than both her children and her husband. She's about 5 foot. She's got a very I would almost say she's got like sort of melancholy features, but she's got dark brown hair, and just she looks kind, and she looks comforting, and she looks like she is relieved to have this happening, but also there is sort of inner core, a sort of sternness to her that is very apparent to both her children, that's for sure. But no, she's happy, but also yeah,
absolutely. Mary Sullivan, who does not go further than the step she's taken out already. This is a woman who, despite everything you just described, the energy present is welcome home. You're walking here first.
Oh,
you are
God,
covering
absolutely.
the gap. You are
Oh,
covering, yeah.
absolutely.
It's like the unspoken Mary Sullivan, just with all of her presence, just
She's very powerful.
saying that you are going to walk up to her, which I assume you do.
Yeah, no, God,
Yeah.
Kit hesitates, but no, he takes, the first step, and then he takes the other a little faster, and then, he's at the doorstep. in
Which
front of his
she,
mom,
despite herself, in that last little stretch of you moving towards her, she can no longer resist and does take a few steps to meet you as well, and just goes to fully, in a very motherly, welcoming, warm way, goes to embrace you.
Kit hugs her back and just, it's so nice. It's so nice to see you again.
She, pulls back from the embrace a little bit to look up into your eyes. The faintest wisp of a smile on her features, but nothing but, warmth and, and acceptance and a welcoming demeanor as she kind of like looks up to you, raises a hand to your good side, kind of like just places it there, a warm hand against the cold air, and she just very, just says, "Hello, Kit."
I'm so sorry.
Big old white puff of steam, exhales from her nose. She kind of like looks away, nods a little bit, but then looks back up at you, kind of cocks her head, and she just says, "I know."
Kit sort of just nods, and he puts a hand up to cover hers, and just sort of looks back at the cab and sort of looks at her as if he's like remembering himself and that there are other people here, and just, oh God, let me get the bag. Sorry, I'll introduce you in a moment. And he sort of like busies himself with sort of just gathering everything and getting everything in, and just sort of ushering Sunil, towards, and sort of they'd probably go inside before making introductions. 'Cause
Yeah, no, like Mary's like, she's just like, "Please, all of you, get inside. It is deathly chilling outside. Get in where it's warm." Faith and Bagara just kind of.
Sunil had been keeping his distance like this whole time, and he's been like, I am now being ushered in. I will still keep at least a 2 to 3 foot distance from.
Yeah.
No. Kid just sort of like jerks his head as in like, go. Just go inside. Let's go.
He goes in, he's going, and he's like, okay.
Yeah, and so, we're probably in the foyer and, tamped off the snow from our shoes and taken them off because Mary Sullivan is particular and she's not having you track snow into the house. So help her. And just, Kit sort of like, he sort of pauses and he makes a formal introduction and just sort of, this is my, good friend, Mr. Pandey, Sunil Pandey. I wrote about him, and I'm sure you've heard about him from Aaron.
I've certainly heard of your good friend and esteemed colleague a fair amount of times. I heard you were coming up. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr. Pandey.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
He speaks, and she kind of stiffens for a second. She kind of stiffens for a moment, kind of cocks her head. But she just visibly. But you may keep speaking.
Sunil, who is incredibly aware of who he is and how he sounds, is right. Yes. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Sullivan.
She who kind of stiffens for a moment. There's this like awkward, little tense silence as she, and nods welcomingly, a little awkwardly, but then she looks at you, Sunil, and she goes, am I saying that right? Panday?
Just about, yes.
I see. Where'd, forgive me if I sound impolite, where are you from?
I was born in Bombay, but I was, raised in London, England.
Again, a little long stretch, but she kind of like, just nods and gives a polite smile. And after like a little bit too long, she just goes, so your country's under England's thumb too, then?
Yes.
You just see like this relief going on.
Like they've both been silently communicating this whole time. So...
Mary nods. She goes, I understand that. She with this kind of, there's a kind of palpable relaxation as she goes to just kind of like politely like just kind of like touch you by the shoulders and just says, welcome to my home.
Thank you very much.
She immediately looks makes eye contact with Kit and says, your father didn't meet him, did he?
Kit sort of like pauses, then like sort of, he like doesn't quite wince, but it's sort of like a, not personally, more of a in passing sort of thing.
She nods, looks back at you, Sunil, and she says, Ryan, Kit's father, is a good man. Of the two of us, you might consider me the nicer one when it comes to the upbringing of which you are unfortunately subjected to.
That is the probably most correct definition that I have been given at this point. Honestly speaking, I would not be angry at him.
She fully nods, like, yep, I know. Well, you both look properly chilled to the core. Why don't you take a moment to unload your bags? Your rooms are ready upstairs if you want to find your Kit. Your room is as it is. She kind of like pauses and says, Sunil, sure Aaron can show you around the place. I was just cleaning up a little bit myself. Well, if you don't mind, the two of you, I would love to have Kit, once you put your bags in your room, I'd love if you'd come help me for a moment while your friend and your sister get settled in.
Yes, of course. Yep, you got it. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. And yeah, Aaron will sort of like sort of just like actually Aaron will take Kit's bags upstairs to not give him the opportunity to run away.
As Aaron is walking up the stairs, Mary kind of just turns her head towards there and she goes, smart girl, raised you well. Looks back at you, Kit, with an all too familiar withering but loving glare.
Yes, ma'am.
That's yes, mother to you. Kind of like takes you lightly by the hand, walks you back. And just kind of like, pulls you aside, and while she's just kind of idly going about some this is totally housekeeping that does not need to be done. This is just literally just making use of her hands for the sake of being busy for the pregnant silence.
Oh god, Kit hates that because he wants to use his hands too, but there's like not enough to do, and so he's just like, no.
Yep. She lets you stew for a little bit. Before eventually, kind of just have a little bit of a moment where she just says, kind of like gestures on with her hand to the left side of her left side of her face. Right side?
It's Kit's right, yeah.
That's right. Sorry, the fucking cameras are always fucking me over. Kind of like gestures with her right hand to her own face and says, healed nicely since last I saw you.
Kit sort of, nods a little bit, and this entire time he's kind of been tilting his head a little bit so that the right side is a little hidden, but he sort of just looks at her straight on and just, yeah, it's it's about as good as it's gonna get.
Now there is my son. Not just half of him.
Kit doesn't really. Kit is overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
He's overwhelmed, and
She just hand on the side of your face, the good side still, not touching the scars. Just kind of stands there, just lightly, just present.
Kit cries.
Fully, yeah. She embraces you just to kind of like hold you as you kind of like let it out. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I know you are. But you're home now.
I'm home now.
She's crying a little bit too. Fully crying a little bit too.
Yeah. I just sort of. Yeah.
I've missed you. I've missed you a lot.
I've missed you too, and I'm glad that Erin bullied me into coming home. I
sure hope she did.
You know her, she's better than anyone at it, so.
She was more her she takes more after your father, of course.
You should have seen her at Grand Central. She dressed me down in front of
everybody. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm proud of her.
It was very effective. She's right. She's always right.
I've always considered her to be, well, your father. Not around, of course, but I've always thought Aaron to be very much his daughter, especially when I need Ryan most in situations such as this. She is certainly a useful replacement. How is your father, by the way?
He's doing
his best.
Doing all right. He's his best, that's for sure. But we met and he saw me off and he wanted to send you, his regards and love and everything. So
he smiles, reaches down, takes both of your hands, and then brings both of your hands to rest on the sides of her face as she kind of just breathes you in, just kind of stands there for a moment. You have a lot of chores to do while you're here.
Yes, mother.
I'm glad you're home. Even if it's not forever. I'm thankful to have as much time as I do now. You could leave tomorrow, and I'd be okay with just this moment. You're not leaving tomorrow, but I'm just saying that. Of course, it's... She, kind of reached up to kiss you on your forehead. No.
Yeah, and Kid, remembering the gesture, just sort of automatically, tilts his head down. He's had to do that for a while now, but no, we're not leaving tomorrow, and it's nice to be home too. I've missed you so much. I love you so much.
I love you too, Kit. Goes back to hug you a little bit again.
Yeah. Kit hugs her back.
Pats you on the side of your face. Smiles warmly. You're making dinner tonight. Pats you, kind of pulls away from the embrace, and just blithely strides off into her own house.
yes, mother. And Kit sort of like makes himself busy, like checks the fridge, checks the cabinets, takes stock, sort of like yep, all right.
Yep. We are going to, I think now, briefly cut back over to New York, for a little bit. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Let's see. All right, so back in New York, there's some things to attend to, keep track of. Obviously, the city is still very much snowed in. It's very cold, very, 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 very white and piled under. But I mean, in the aftermath of the last few days, things have certainly calmed down to a degree. Obviously, with Hilton being released from Sing Sing soon, things are definitely on the up and up. Rebecca publishing the story of her career, essentially. And of course, in her papers, you are simply referred to not by name, but by what's a good set of adjectives I can use here? Something along the lines of the police aided by, like, oh, what's a good slightly underhanded term that Rebecca would probably use?
Anonymous benefactors?
No, aided by diligent. I would say by diligent. The police aided by diligent
Vigilante?
Vigilantes. Yeah. Oh, Rebecca would totally take a moment to undercut the NYPD by implying that they worked with vigilantes. Yes, absolutely. Diligent vigilantes. Oh yeah, it's absolutely. None of you are referred to by name though. Like, but yeah. Yeah. So we're back in New York for a little bit. I mean, I guess now that with Kit and Sunil and Aaron up in Boston for a while. What's going on? What's going on in the homestead? I mean, like Mason, Sybil, James. What's the gang kind of up to? Really, is there anything in particular that's going on with them?
Oh, I was waiting for you to go, Jordan.
Oh, no, I was offering for y'all to go first because.
Oh, F.
Yes.
That's
I'm like,
big F.
I'm like, but Jordan, you can just go.
Let me put it like this. She texted me asking what we're doing.
Yeah, so you can just go. Listen.
I don't care who goes. Somebody has to go.
There are things Sybil wants to do, but I need time to process.
Yes,
Jordan, go.
So for time to process.
Yes.
Mason, we just got done with this just fucking mess of an adventure that is only going to get longer. So Mason is kind of taking this time before we dive head deep into it to kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah.
To do maybe like a couple of things. I would say like the first well, not the first night that Sunil and Kit are gone, but at some point he's gonna go to a speakeasy.
Yeah, of course.
See if he can get a couple of things, before he hits the water to go elsewhere. He went back to his apartment, cleaned up all the cups.
I hate
After
you.
he finished cleaning all the cups in his
I hate you. Why does this
room
bit exist?
at the hotel?
Why is this still existing?
Because he's got so many cups.
I hate you so
now
much.
I gotta take care of those cups.
I hate
If I don't
you.
take care of the cups, we'll just assume that I left them there.
I look forward
Be polite.
to your demise. Okay, so excellent. Yeah, no. So Mason's taking some very much needed R&R, following the extremely tumultuous few days that have preceded this. Actually, you know what? I do want to know regarding Mason, that since he's he's spending some time doing his own thing, like, any old stomping ground he's fond of, anything that's not riddled with bad memories that he's kind of, just having a nice time by, or anything that he's treating himself with, or is he avoiding as much of his old life as possible while he's in the city?
Well, that reminds me. Excellent. So he gets on the phone,
Oh, no.
and he's gonna phone up his director.
Oh yes, of course, from episode 1, whose name I am immediately forgetting, but it exists somewhere in my notes.
I don't remember either.
It's
okay.
fine. We have a designated note taker who is immediately on the case. I can tell. But please proceed with this bit.
Got it. You know what? I don't think you gave him a name because all I see is
It's
his
Sydney
director.
something. It's Sydney something. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Keep going with this bit.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. But yes, so just scroll.
You're good.
Scroll.
Just.
Yeah. So he gets him on the phone. He's waiting, tapping his foot, just waiting for the director to answer.
Yeah. You'd probably go through some kind of like secretary, but like it's like please hold. You get routed. You hear the voice clicks through the other line where it's just like, hello.
Hi, it's Mason. How you feeling?
Who is
Mason
this?
Allen?
Mason. Oh yes. I'm. How are you? It's been a few weeks.
I've been pretty good. So I got some good news about a little canceled project that we were both a part of.
I'm all ears. You kind of like hear some like paper ruffling in the background. Certainly. What? Sure. Shoot. Go.
So, have you ever heard of the Cordovas?
I can't say I'm entirely familiar. I know a few Cordovas, I think.
Well, I know a particular one who's got a lot of money. She was very willing to fund the movie.
I need to
us.
narrate to the chat right now that Kristen made the most like the fuck you're talking about face on camera just a moment ago.
We talked about this before. Y'all agreed to it.
We did do that.
We did.
We did discuss it. It's just listen. It's been so long, and Sybil's mind is so far from this at this point.
Mhm.
Well, you're gonna have a surprise when we talk.
We're funding a movie.
Funding. An outside. You found a producer. That's lovely. There's like a long pause over the line for a moment. Are you still there, Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir. I'm just wondering.
Right. Well, hey, I'm glad to hear that you were so diligent. Truth be told, the last few weeks have certainly been interesting for the studio. I mean, you know how fast things move out here. Just the funding was one thing, but really we took a step back. We looked at the dailies we were getting, and I just don't think that it's a piece that in hindsight, just not a piece we want to carry through with. It's not really lining up with what folks are really dying to see at the moment. But the funding is something, I'll pass it along to the studio execs, and we'll certainly see what feedback they get. I'm not involved with that project anymore. The script was passed off into the archive, but I'll pass the message along. I'm starting pre-production on another work at the moment, but Mason, hey, Mr. Allen, you're a wonderful. I love your diligence. I'm sure you're gonna have great work going forward, and just keep grinding. That's what I tell all you young artists. Just keep it going, Mr. Allen. Sorry, I have a lunch with well, I have to go, but this was wonderful to hear from you. I will certainly have my secretary let you know if I know any new developments that occur regarding this project. So best of luck, kid, and have fun. The line immediately hangs up.
Yeah, fuck yourself, and just fucking hangs up. Immediately opens up his flask. It's gonna be
fuck. What is, by the way, what is Mason's key connection, by the way, Jordan? Or did you never actually do this?
His key connection 6 feet under.
Yeah, but what was
I don't think
one?
we ever picked out a new key connection.
Jordan, I'm gonna kill you.
I don't think we ever picked out a new
episodes
key connection.
in. This was a thing that was done in pre-production. All right, cool. Well, I'll give you a minute to think about what his new key connection is.
He doesn't have many friends.
It doesn't have to be a person. We've been over this. Anyway, I'm gonna let you think about this for a bit.
It doesn't have to be a person?
No, it can be
Sick.
it can be a person, a place, a thing, a concept, a personality trait. You're good. I'll let you think about it for a good few minutes.
Excellent.
Before I get back to you. Oh my goodness, you're all good. Alrighty, so Kristen, Split, you guys good? You guys
Hi.
think about?
There has been a discussion. We're still like.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. So then I'm gonna linger on. I'm gonna put the spotlight back on Jordan and really highlight him on stream for a moment. So Jordan, the key connection that I told everyone to have before we started masks again.
Yes.
Yes. So no, it doesn't.
I have an idea.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Well, I have two ideas.
Yeah.
First one is Jimbles Natrombo.
Nope. Hard no. Hard pass. Hard pass. I'm going to executively tell you.
Your crappy therapist.
You can't use your shitty therapist. I mean, you could, but I'm going to veto that as the guy who's in charge. I'm going.
My second idea, he won't be able to call this thing whenever he goes overseas.
It can be an object. It could be a personality trait. It could be a not to call specific examples, but I know that Sybil's hedonism is her key connection, and James's like mantra, his what's the word I'm looking for here? Oh god, it starts with an M. It just anyway, the words he lives by to be a good person is his key connection. But
Motto?
like motto. Yes, thank you. His motto that he lives by. His that he holds his morality to.
Okay. In that case, Mason, kind of thinks for a while. It has been 4 years since he's been to this place that he has since destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Not single-handedly, but with a lot of help. But one thing that always kind of made it nice, standable, was a little stray dog that.
Okay, well, so here's the thing. Yes. I do love the narrative idea of what you're going for, but fundamentally that cannot work because the key connection is something that you can fall back on to regain sanity points during development periods. So it's like,
okay. In that case,
I could say, if you want to say that, like, it could be the memory of that for sure. But like the dog itself, unless you have the dog on you, unfortunately you couldn't do that. But I mean, if you wanted to like say that, like, yoink! If you wanted to say like the memory of his dog, it is just quite literally something that he can. Because mechanically, what this means is that you essentially can, at any point, fall back on your key connection to get more sanity points back. So I mean, like,
in that case, I'll make it an object.
Okay,
one treasured possession that Mason got to kind of keep.
Sure.
After Aphrodite's apostle. It's his father's dog tags from the Great War.
Love it. Truly love that. That's great.
Died very early on in it. And
that
so
feels really correct, because again, the key connection is like a thing that's like, the absolute distilled essence of your character is in your key connection, but like that feels right because it's like, for multiple reasons. One, I mean, Mason's always doing things like to be braver and more heroic than he actually feels most of the time. I like that. That feels like that's really something he's trying to live up to a father he never really knew. That hit me right in the fucking left ventricle. So I love that. Okay, cool. Thank you for clearing that up. Do you want Mason to do some self-help, spend some time self-reflection using key connection to get some more sanity points back?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
A small history lesson though. Would they have returned Papa Allen's body like home after he died, or would they have buried him?
I've done
Alice has opinions.
I've done a lot of research on this. There's actually a lot of interesting sort of documentation that goes with returning bodies from the battlefields of Europe. Lots of interesting stuff. But basically, they did their best to, but generally, it wasn't like if you couldn't be recovered, you couldn't be recovered, and that was sort of that. Like it was much more touch and go than it was in later periods, just due to the nature of the conflict.
Okay.
Yeah. So he could have been brought back if his body would have been able to have been recovered. Otherwise, he's probably in France somewhere.
Okay. In that case, yeah, Mason's gonna visit a grave.
Yeah, he's gonna visit his
He's gonna
father's
visit
grave.
his father's grave. There's no body in the grave though. It's more just like
It's a soldier's
like,
grave. Yeah.
It's a soldier's grave. He kind of takes like, they didn't have fold-up chairs at that time. He takes like a little blanket with him to just set out as he just kind of sits and reminisces with his father before, you know, he went off to war, and reminisces before he ended up coming across Aphrodite's apostles, and just kind of thinks about how simple life was before everything went to shit. Like before there was a war, there was just, you know, there was tension. But Mason's father was very irresponsible from what Mason remembers. He drank a lot, very impulsive, but easily one of the coolest people that Mason has ever met.
Yeah.
You know, Mason already grows more of a beard than his father ever could. So there's something there that he feels like he has shoes to fill for a man that he hasn't been able to know since he was 14.
Yeah. This in particular is a very well covered up grave by snow, so you have to, you know, brush a little off the top of the little head post made for him. Father you never really knew. Dog tags in hand.
Yeah, he's got the dog tags in hand. He just kind of looks at them and back to the grave, and then back to the dog tags. He kind of like furrows his brow a little bit. Did they spell this name wrong? Hold on. And he takes like a closer look. No, he just brushes some shit to the side. It was fine.
This
he just kind of
is a key connection. Yeah, this is good. What does Mason do? Just stand there, just kind of to his thoughts?
He just sits and he reflects.
Yeah.
He kind of reflects and thinks about how he has spent the majority of his life afraid of things, and you know, like how his father would always tell him not to be just afraid of what's coming, be afraid of what you could not do.
Yeah.
You know, it's something to reflect on. And over these last 4 years, and it feels like just during this almost month worth of time that he has been in New York, he already feels like he is taking bigger steps in the right direction.
Yeah. Just getting to really reflect and just be present with this individual who really is only just a myth to you. Like a father, he's an idea, but a very comforting thing to aspire to at the very least. So this is how key connection sanity self-help works, is I need you to make a sanity roll with a bonus die. Go ahead.
Baba Booey.
With a bonus die. Oh, this scene. Oh no. Okay. Oh wow.
That's so fucking ironic.
Okay, no, actually, this is okay. This is gonna hurt a lot just emotionally, but I think this actually serves really good for how the key connection self-help sanity rules work. I'll read the rule book before I narratively say something, which is that, you know, you make the sanity roll after spending your time with this element. If the roll is unsuccessful, this key connection is lost, because it loses meaning to you. It loses a real sense of reassurance to you. Essentially, this is an aspect of you that is irrevocably armed. And so you by default you lose 1 sanity point.
Okay.
And this is stricken from your key connection. Timing here is actually very good because you can only get new key connections during investigator development phases, which technically we're kind of in. So during the boat trip, is Mason will develop a new key connection. But this is heartbreaking, man. Yeah, so basically it's just Mason is out here by a grave of a man he never met, holding dog tags that he's had for, you know, time immemorial at this point, and reflecting on this notion. And yes, you hold on to and you believe that you're becoming, you're trying to be less afraid, but in doing so and having this moment, especially off the coattails of what's happened the last few days, you realize you still are fundamentally afraid, and probably now more afraid than you've ever been. The good side of this is that you're still going forward. You really have no other choice at this point. You feel you have to go forward. But you feel it is the most jarring force of perspective you've ever had, which is you stand here at a grave of a man you've never met, you know nothing about really, holding dog tags. And you are shocked to realize, after everything that's happened over the last few weeks, after who you are and who you have become, this man whose face you don't even know, this man who really fundamentally means nothing to you compared to the connections you've made over your life here, this means nothing to you anymore.
And Mason, he kind of holds on to the dog tags. He looks back at the name and then back at this grave. I'll see you soon, Pop. And he hangs the dog tags on the grave, kind of folds up the blanket, and he heads out. He heads back. He's going to check in with James and Sybil whenever he gets back.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, he feels like something that's like he lost value in something that he held on to for a really long time, but he only lost the value because he realized that he doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
So he gave his father a proper goodbye and kept moving forward.
Fuck, that hit me hard. Okay. Great. God. A part of me is just like, man, you made something so fucking poignant and like deep, and then it was immediately ripped out from you. I'm like, that is such a good scene. And I'm like, it's unfortunate, but it like that works so nicely. It's tragic.
Like even after it was ripped underneath him, he still fucking turned it into something.
Yeah.
That's
real good.
Real fucking good.
Thank you.
All right. We'll bow away from Mason for a little bit. Split. Kristen, how are we feeling?
We're ready.
We're ready.
It took a minute.
Sorry, I've been trying to figure out what's been going on with Sybil Cordova for the past week, and I was really struggling, and it's only finally just now come together for me. Wild.
Everybody's crying up in the club, just so we're aware. Hold on, everybody is crying up in the club.
Crying.
Like it is, we're having a time out here. God, I love Mason Allen so much.
God, I love Mason Allen so fucking much.
I'm just double checking something about key connections, just for my own knowledge. Yeah, that's page 45. I'm looking at this real quick. Key connections are a thing that I, the keeper, cannot take away from you. They're only a thing that you can either lose of your own volition or by failing this kind of check.
God, I thought it was a crit fail that did that because I knew it was possible, but I thought it was a crit.
Now the rules for key connections say that when you lose your key connection, you do have to make a sanity check. Now, but under the self-help section, it says when you do fail. Oh no, you know what, that encompasses both. So actually, I do still need Mason to make another sanity roll post leaving his having his
worm?
worm.
Oh, word.
Okay.
Yeah. Just go ahead.
Booey.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So then you just lose one more point of sanity. There's the kind of single point you took from the moment after, and then this is just kind of now that this thing is stripped from you fully, you lose another point. But that's it. All right. Cool. So
Yeah.
you good. So back to what's going on with Sybil and James?
God.
Should you start or should I start?
Because I know I was trying to work out what the fuck Sybil would even do, because I'm like, Sybil really wants to put on that mask, but also James said no, and people were upset on cult night, and that does bother her. She will like, haha, I will pretend that it does not bother me, but it does bother her. So I'm basically like, okay, what wins out, Sybil Cordova? Your insane need to put on the thing that will kill you, or the fact that you care about the people around you?
So I will ask again. Should you start or should I start?
You start, I think.
Okay. Because this may influence.
Yes.
James, since that night, has been extremely distant from everybody. The night he walked away, he didn't say a fucking word to Sybil. He has barely said a word since. He has barely said a word to anyone unless spoken to first. He has not engaged anyone. The most he has done is stare off into the distance and drink. Whether that is outside of the room. In fact, most of the time, it is outside of the room. But considering they share a room, she could usually smell the fucking alcohol on his breath. That's where James is.
Okay.
So let's say right now, given the setting, do we want to say that James is currently in the hotel room or out of the hotel room?
I mean, because if he's out of the hotel room, it's at a point where Sybil would try to come find him, so it's kind of up to you how you wanted.
I'll leave it up to the keeper, actually.
I think for the sake of just keeping things moving along, he is probably in the hotel, if not necessarily the hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's also like piled high with fucking snow outside still. So I mean, it'd be a nightmare for a man who's drinking to stumble his way really anywhere.
So let's say he is just outside of the room. Either if there's a balcony set.
Yeah, totally.
You know, out there.
Yeah.
Rather than out in the hallway.
Yeah.
So if there's like scaffolding or
Yeah,
balcony,
there's a balcony. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So he's out there right now, leaning on the fucking railing, drinking and just staring out into the city. That's where James is right now. Mask is probably still somewhat on display.
Yeah.
Like on a dresser or something. Sybil's probably inside the room.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Yep. That's where we are.
Scene, go.
Have I gotten the books yet?
We'll say that this conversation probably happened because it took 8 days for you to get the books. This conversation feels like it would have to happen before then.
Yeah.
So
because like in that case, like it's like, well, I've got nothing to look over, nothing to do. Studied that spell, but that's not doing much. Sybil's gotten very antsy. So she paces a bit. Like, I could go shopping. I could leave this fucking place right now. I could.
Does James hear the footsteps in the room?
Yeah, like she's
most definitely.
pacing. Like she's trying to think, and then she's like, looks at the mask. And then she instead turns to go look for her husband. Like, okay, cool. James?
So she steps outside.
Yeah.
James kind of like looks back at her, gives her a small wave, and just narrows his focus again. Man's got his flask out. He's doing nothing but lean against the railing. Not saying a word. He's stuck. You've seen this look before.
Mm.
You've seen this look a number of times before. And he is stuck.
Sybil walks up, kind of ducks under one of his arms, leans against his side. Hey.
He can't help himself. She sneaks up into him.
Mm-hmm.
He gives her a small smile. Hey. And just, wraps his arm around her, and just the arm holding the flask,
Mm.
and just turns his focus back out.
She reaches up, kind of takes the flask from his fingers very gently.
There's a grip. He's not letting go. Instead, actually, he looks down at her. Is like, "What? You want a drink?"
I mean, if you're offering.
Always. And in that point, he lets go. Just for her. Only for her.
She takes a drink, which is, of course, rather silly. She has her own. She does not need to take his.
Mm-hmm. And his hand is still there, waiting for it to return.
She does not return it. She holds it for a second, looks up at him. You gonna come back to me anytime soon?
He stares for a little bit, contemplating those words. And then after a bit, he kind of turns away from her. He just, from her eyes, back out to the city. He lets her hold the flask. His arm goes slack. Around her, but against the railing, just stares out. He doesn't know what to say. He's gone for a minute. In this moment, at least, he's focused on where he is.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
What did you see?
Just takes a deep breath, lets it out. Things you shouldn't think about. Things you're better off thinking stories of.
I mean, I've seen a lot of pretty terrible things. You can try me.
Oh, it's not the same. I don't care how many vampires you've seen. It's not the same.
I know. It's
No,
okay.
you don't.
No,
I don't think you do. I don't think you will. I don't think you can. I wouldn't want you to. I'm glad that you don't. Xander, I'm going to ask you a very specific question.
Yeah, what's up?
Would James remember coming up from Juju House?
I mean, it's probably in the haze of things, I would imagine.
So he would remember walking off.
Yeah, probably. He was in his full faculties. Yeah, well, he wasn't under any influences. Yeah, he'd probably, you know, as I said then, there was nothing extra driving him. It was just him who was walking. It was him who was doing that of his own, of his own self.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Yeah,
to know.
cool.
In the midst of everything happening, James, he takes a pause, and if Sybil's going to say anything, she has full opportunity to.
I mean, I
Like
think
a couple minutes.
she's processing. She's like, I
So
know there are some things that I can't understand. I haven't been where you've been. I haven't seen what you've seen. But I understand more than you think.
James, he seems distraught despite her words. And it all culminates in the next thing he says. And what he says is, why did you let me go? I was not right. The only one who noticed, the only one who even thought about what was wrong. I was wrong. And I get it. But the only one who knew was the only other person who would understand. Why did you let me go?
I knew. I didn't think there was. You are in this because you met me and Kit and Mason.
That's not why I'm in this.
No. Listen.
No. No.
No, please, just listen. You're. You went down there to fight this thing that I can't fight, and this thing that the rest of us couldn't have fought. And then you came out looking worse than I'd ever seen you. And I knew sometimes when that happens, you want to be alone. And I thought, I can't help him right now. I can't help with a lot of things. But I thought I could go see what did this to you, and I thought I could understand, and if I understood, then maybe that would make it okay that all these things were happening to all of you, and if I could just understand it, then that would make it okay. Yes? You said I could.
James pauses, thinking about everything. He keeps his arm around her. But he just takes a minute to think. Do you want to know what I saw?
Yeah.
I saw a forest that was far too familiar to me. I saw a place where I cannot escape. And it was nothing to do with anything that was in the basement. As he says those last words, he looks down at her. And then looks away. Nothing that was in the basement has anything to do with it other than the fact that it just reminded me of it. I don't know why. It just did. God, those men could have died because I led them there, and I was inconsolable.
But nobody died, so everything's
Why
okay.
did you go down there instead of anything else? Why, if I came up, why did you go down there?
I
At the very least, without me.
mean, Mason and
Was
Senior
Kit
were-
there?
No, we followed down afterwards.
Afterwards. After everything was done.
Well, he was busy with the doctoring, and
Didn't wait for him.
well, I thought the police would stop us from looking at the thing in the pit, and I wanted to see what was in the pit. So I just
You wanted to see what was in the pit.
I wanted to see what was in the pit.
James, very visibly to Sybil, because it was the same hand that was holding the flask, just like kind of looks down at his hand that is still bandaged. You wanted to see what was in the pit.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
It seemed like it at the time, but I am having second thoughts now, if that makes it any better.
Yeah. Sure. Of course. It's getting late, Sybil.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't go after you, and I'm sorry I didn't wait for you.
Are you?
Yeah.
No. No, you're not. You don't have to lie to me, Sybil. Just... It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And he doesn't look happy, but he gives her the best he can do at a smile. Gives her a quick kiss on the forehead and just pulls his arm from her. She still has his flash. She still has everything. And he just leans on the railing. He just keeps looking at New York. Watches the people.
Does Sybil eventually, in the silence, go back inside?
Yeah.
Yeah. Leaving James to himself on the balcony, to his thoughts, Sybil to yours, still within no more than 15 feet between each other, but a literal and figurative wall between the two of you. We're gonna, I think, cut back to Boston for a little bit. What the fuck, y'all? That was good. And also, fuck you both. Jesus.
Man,
Hey.
there's a lot of shit.
There's a
going
lot.
on.
It's great.
It's fine.
Oh, I hurt. I
This is
hurt.
why we were talking for a little bit.
Yeah.
I can see why. So back in Boston, back where this is not happening, because I think we all need to breathe. Can we get back to politics, please? So I think it's fair to say, correct me if I'm wrong here, that I can summarize by saying there is a lovely, warm, welcoming first evening back at the Sullivan home where Kit makes dinner. And, you know, Sunil, specifically, you get to actually interact with Mary a fair amount, who is so much like Kit. Truly so much like Kit Sullivan. And, you know, there's just gets to have this, like, lovely evening just eating dinner as this kind of, like, small little family unit. Which eventually, you know, segues into Aaron turning in and Mary turning in. Kind of like Kit, I would assume you're doing the cleanup. I mean, not that you really have a choice in the matter. Your onus here is that you are doing the dishes as well.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that's just fair.
Yeah.
Is it really fair? You're the one who cooked. Why are you doing the dishes? No, I'm helping you.
I've been shirking my duty for 4 years now. It's fair.
Well, you could, again, still probably use a little help.
Well, it's always appreciated. Thank you.
God. I'm pretty sure Sunil at this point, he's like, well, he's pretty much gathering things. I think they've done this enough times where they're aware of, like, who's doing what at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, like, while they're, you know, doing this, Sunil, he pauses a little bit. There's a slight smile on his face when he asks this, because he might not know the answer, but he has a hope for the answer. Are you glad you came?
Yeah. I am.
Your mother is very sweet. She reminds me a lot of you. Reminds me, I say, as though it's more than a reminder. She's a lot like you.
God, I'm sorry.
Oh no, how tragic. I have to spend time with Kit Sullivan, a thing that I purposefully choose to do, always, all the time. What a terrible thing that I've been inflicted with. Oh, woe is me, he says, drying a dish and putting it like away. Sorry.
Truly a fate worse than death. Kit says, continuing to just wash the dishes. How about you? Coming here. It's not too much or anything.
It's quite frankly, I am less overwhelmed than I assumed I would be. If you want me to be honest, while we were back in New York, I kept thinking, wow, I was afraid of going to Boston and seeing Mary and seeing Aaron again, and now all I want to do is go to Boston and meet Mrs. Sullivan and see Aaron again. So.
Yeah, funny how things can be put into perspective real fast, huh? Yeah.
Have you ever been to a place and you walk into this place and it feels homely? Not homely as in homely, but home-ish. And you walk into a place and you know this is not your home, but you still feel a sense of comfort.
Just a slow sort of smile grows across Kit's face. Yeah, no, I think I know exactly what you're getting at. Yeah, I have.
It's very nice. I'm glad you've allowed me, honestly, to be with you in this.
Nah, please, it's the it's the least I can do after I show up on your doorstep every Christmas like some sort of a stray dog.
Oh goodness, you showed up the first time and I was just thinking, oh, it's Kit. Oh, it's Kit. Well, come in. It's cold, so
I'm sorry. How many times do I have to say sorry?
You don't have to apologize. It was a very lovely. It was a very lovely holiday. I've had only lovely holidays with you.
Mm.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you showed up, and my mother adores you almost more than me. So,
Which is a trust me, it's a relief. It's a relief.
God, considering how well my mother gets along with you, I'm pretty sure she'd really get along with Mrs. Sullivan. They probably would just natter between each other. Just
Yeah. Oh God above. Yeah, no. Absolutely what I wouldn't one of these days, some holiday, we should all get together on the same continent for once and just yeah.
goodness. Maybe I'll find a way to get Mother out of the house. It's been a while. She keeps pushing me to get out of the house, but no, she won't leave.
I mean, I'm sure between myself and Aaron and you, we could probably convince my mom to go across the Atlantic, even though I'm sure she's not very keen on going to London for obvious reasons, but
Obvious reasons,
but I'm sure she could be convinced. But yeah. And at this point, Kit is sort of like finished washing, and then is like sort of taken the last dry dish back to its sort of spot in the cupboards and all that sort of thing. So tomorrow, Harvard Library. What do you think?
God, I'd be delighted.
So it's a date then?
It's a date?
Perfect. I'll pick you up then.
Oh, you're going to pick me up at a right early hour, huh?
You'd watch it. A kid just picks Sunil up. Just right there. Write that in there. Just picks him up.
God, Sunil just like leans into it, like grabs his neck.
Can I, Atwis and Bro, with your permission, can I give some narrative flavor on this?
Yes.
Please.
Okay. So I'm not specifying what, I just want your permission. Kit, as you hoist Sunil up, and Sunil, you reach up to, hold his neck, the sudden jostling motion knocks something that is usually worn under your shirt, Sunil, out of your shirt to dangle in the open. What is that?
It's a ring. It is golden and with a green inlay, with a green gem inlay. It's not as ornate as it could be, but it's definitely etched. Oh, well, that's just out.
So we're still on for October then. Hopefully.
October 13th.
October 13th.
Oh God, wait, no, it's my birthday. No, the 17th. Oh my goodness, I have confused our wedding date with my birth date. Okay.
I mean, it's an entire week in between the two, so.
That is an entire week.
Oh my God, Sunil.
Yes.
Kid just sort of like blinks and just sort of look like he's still holding Sunil, but he sort of just looks at him. We're engaged.
Oh my God, we're engaged.
Kid just kisses him and sets him back down.
think by necessity we have to go to break on that note. So we'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Out of the Rolling Ocean, The Crowd by Walt Whitman. Out of the rolling ocean, the crowd came a drop gently to me, whispering, I love you, before long I die. I have traveled a long way merely to look on you, to touch you, for I could not die till I once looked on you, for I feared I might afterward lose you. Now we have met, we have looked, we are safe. Return in peace to the ocean, my love. I too am part of that ocean, my love. We are not so much separated. Behold, the great rondure, the cohesion of all, how perfect. But as for me, for you, the irresistible sea is to separate us. As for an hour carrying us diverse, yet cannot carry us diverse forever. Be not impatient. A little space. Know you I salute the air, the ocean, and the land, every day at sundown, for your dear sake, my love.
And welcome back, everybody. I'm gonna personally call out user at Upgraded Moon for a moment for my favorite.
Shut the fuck up.
No, hold on. This is not. I'm not making fun of you. Because this was usually something I love hearing on stream. Jordan is one of my favorite, most energetic people. The audience didn't hear it, but he screamed in the background, I thought they were homies! And it was a wonderful, beautiful moment.
I thought they were close buds.
The only reason I called
they were the two bros sitting in a hot tub.
The only reason I called this out in public is because Jordan had the most visceral, beautiful on-camera reaction, and we just need to share.
It was so good.
I wish I could share only a small fragment of his energy with the chat. It was a wonderful moment seeing Jordan have this realization. It was beautiful. We love it.
My brain only started to wrap around it once Kit picked him up and Sunil wrapped his arms around Kit's neck, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a little gay. I was like, hold on a second, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Remember, friends, please share Call of Cthulhu Mass and Nyarlathotep around, and please include that we are an extremely queer-friendly bike show. Extremely queer-friendly show. All right, so let's
everything friendly.
We really are.
They were homies.
The only thing we like Call of Cthulhu for is cosmic horror.
Yeah. I want to jump over to Mason again. Because we were dealing a lot with the other folks. Let's focus more on a not depressing Mason moment. So Mason, I've drawn. Yes, I fucking out of left field. I mentioned this to you briefly over the break, but I think that with Kit and Sunil up in Boston, James and Sybil having their moment at this given time.
Yes,
I think that you probably hear back from, like Carlton is probably calling every so often, just everybody at your hotel, just kind of just checking in, just going over travel related things. But yeah, I think like at one point Jonah Kensington calls, and since Kit and Sunil are out up in Boston, James and Sybil seem to be emotionally fraught at they're preoccupied, I should say. Given that you're the only one who seems to be free at the moment, Jonah happily invites you over to just shoot the shit with him in his office.
Okay, all right.
Is Mason down to clown with that?
Mason's down to clown. He'll bring some whiskey that he got from the speakeasy that he just got to. Just
good. Yeah, you pour
on it.
Yeah, you pour that right there. Okay.
Oh,
God. So, all's well that ends well. That's, could have certainly ended worse. That's for sure.
Yeah, with the shit that I saw in that fucking hole, man, you wouldn't believe. Well, I didn't even see it. I heard it, but
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's a giant fucking mess covered in concrete.
The things that Jackson wrote about, I mean, I'm sure that I wouldn't even believe it had I seen it. But look, I'm just glad that everyone's all right. But hey, you know what? Justice for Jackson. I could write that in my memoir someday.
Yeah, justice for Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, there's something on my mind that I just it hasn't been able to get off my mind since it happened.
Yeah, shoot, kid.
James said that he sounded worried, which is weird because I've never known Jackson to be worried about a thing. We got fucking kidnapped and he came in and pistol whipped the motherfucker and got us out like peachy keen.
Oh yeah, like I told you a few weeks ago, when Jackson came back from London with his notes, the man was practically frantic. I'd never seen him like that before. He was truly afraid of something, to what I couldn't say. At first I thought, you know, oh well, after we first heard the news broken to me, it was he was afraid that he was, you know, gonna get killed. Well, you know, obviously, I think there's a bit more to it. He was deeply afraid of something, and I think getting killed was only tangential to his fears. Because clearly, based on what I heard from Carlton, he put a lot of contingencies in place for his death. So clearly, it was something he was ready for, at least on paper. But I mean, hey.
I've never known.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Fucking go, kid.
Well, I was gonna say I've never known Jackson to even be afraid of dying. When we were in Peru, he was one of the boldest men that we have ever met. Like we powered through that like a goddamn tractor. Was there anything that he could have left in London before, you know, he came back? Anything that we should start looking for? Is there something
Jackson
that, you know,
was
that we should be-
notorious for keeping his notes on him. I mean, in this case, as you know, he told me that he destroyed all of his notes so no one would find it. He was keeping it all in his head before he wrote it down. Some things. Well, that's all that you guys have had. No, Jackson has never been the kind to leave behind anything, especially because if he's in the middle of writing a fucking manuscript, the guy doesn't want someone finding his breadcrumb trail and getting a lead on his work. Jackson was never like that. With that said, like, why, you thinking about going over to London?
Oh, well, I mean,
Carlton told me a little bit about what was in Jackson's will. He asked you to keep looking into this whole Carlisle affair, didn't he?
Yeah, we're kind of finishing what he started, and
yeah,
you know, it seems like our time in New York, while it was short, it felt like months.
Yeah,
it
no
truly
kidding.
did. Yeah, like the shit that we saw, I only saw a fraction of what some of my other friends saw. Like I don't know. Like, are we making the right choice here? I know this is Jackson's will, but like, is this something that I don't know what I'm saying? Maybe it is something.
Who the fuck ever knows what they're saying? It doesn't fucking matter. I mean, look, Jackson clearly put his will in his will. I mean, that you and, you know, Dr. Sullivan, Miss Cordova, Mr. O'Connell, that whole lot of them, and that Pandey guy, they clearly put it all down there that he wants you guys particularly to keep doing this, you know? And knowing
Right.
Jackson, he was... Look, if all I'll say is, look, to be fair, if he had put my name on that list, I would have said no. But, like, that's just me. I'm not listen, just because I enjoy Jackson walking in here telling me stories of harrowing escapes from death, doesn't mean that's the kind of lifestyle I wanted to embark on. So look, I don't think anyone would think ill of you if you particularly, left. Or you decided that this wasn't for you. Settle down, you know, you got the money for it to live a nice life over in the West Coast, whatever the fuck it was you're up to. Do whatever you want to do. But hey, it sounds like this is not something that you're gonna sit easy on until you know for sure what Jackson was afraid of.
No, and I think that's the problem. I don't know if I'm either losing my sense or if I'm just that sure that everything's gonna be okay, that we can just run headfirst into this. and just do it. Like, am I crazy for thinking that, you know, like carrying out this is while deadly is a good idea?
Crazy? Yeah, you're fucking crazy, but you sound exactly like Jackson. So I mean, I guess it's a good thing. You know?
Like he died doing some shit that he loved, and it was investigating. So something that, of course, made him.
I don't think he loved getting butchered by cultists, but I know the vibe.
Nobody loves getting
for.
butchered by cultists. It's getting butchered by cultists, unless you're into that, you know, which I don't really judge on multiple accounts.
No one likes getting butchered by cultists except for cultists. This is a simple fact of Jackson's books.
That is also true. But I mean, he was investigating something, and something that was so important that he brought us all back together, and something that was so important that, like, we have to finish what he started.
Yeah. Look,
do you think...
No, you go ahead.
I don't know, and this is just like a thought of mine. We've seen some serious shit. We have seen bodies come back. We have seen people eating other people. Do you think that this is something bigger than something like that? Do you think this is... Well, yeah. I don't know how to explain it.
Just because I heard the stories Jackson told me doesn't mean that I necessarily buy into every sort of detail I heard. He left out a fair amount of things, so I can't honestly tell you what's bigger than what. Is it dangerous? Fucking probably. It's probably very dangerous. But that didn't stop Jackson before. I mean, well, it did ultimately stop Jackson, but you know what I mean. He did not let it prevent him from his drive of going forward. That's the kind of man Jackson was. He didn't care about the destination, which inevitably, in this case, 6 feet under. But he wanted to keep doing it. He kept pushing forward. He was a crazy motherfucker, but he was someone I respected deeply. Truth be told, I'm sad that I'm never going to see him again. Sadder still that I'm never going to publish one of his books again.
Well, maybe... And I don't know, this was a thought of mine. I've never really been a writer. But if I bring you back a compilation of his notes, as well as continuing what we've seen...
If you find any of his notes, which I doubt you will, because he doesn't leave things behind usually, in terms of a paper trail.
Well, I guess more of like what he's left behind already for us, you know, like shit that like we have that has led us to this. If we complete what he has started, would you publish it?
I don't know. Truth be told, I really don't know. I mean, Carlton sent me a copy of Jackson's letter to you all. He has a point. None of you are writers. And I don't know if I feel comfortable publishing a work of Jackson's that wasn't written by Jackson. That said, maybe we'll see how it goes. Depends on the kind of story it takes. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, I'm happy to let this chapter of Jackson's life go a little forgotten by his readership. His last book was a good one, you know? The whole Peru shit, great story. His fans really enjoyed that one. I've actually got to put it into a second printing. Maybe let him go on a high note. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. I don't usually judge the quality of a manuscript until I'm reading it myself, so do with that what you will. But hey, look, it sounds like you're going to be looking more into this case. What do you think? London?
I'm thinking London. I've got a few ideas myself, but some of them are a little too far away.
Well, tell you what. Jackson may not leave notes behind in places he has already left, but he certainly does leave something behind, and that's people he has met. He begins like rifling around like one of his desks and like pulls out like a slip of paper, flips through like a book, and just kind of like begins writing some things down and says, Jackson had 2 contacts I can remember off the top of my head that he told me about over in England. At the very least I can do, here, I'll give you the contact details. One of them's a fellow named Mickey Mahoney, editor of a broadsheet out there called The Scoop. Maybe you can get in touch with him. Heard Jackson had a touch. The second fellow is a guy by the name of, a badge by the name of, he kind of looks like the paper, Inspector James Barrington of Scotland Yard. Finishes like writing down a bunch of information, passes that to you. 2 people Jackson had contact with while he was over there. Hey, maybe they know more about what he was doing out there than I do. If he left anything behind, they'll probably have a good idea of where to start looking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. How have you been holding up since?
I mean, truth be told, I still look at that door, thinking that Jackson eventually is going to walk right back through it, but I'm getting by all right. Yeah, I've been worse. Checking in with Carlton, every so often. But other than that, I've just been working, you know? Biding my time until the spring thaw when we can actually bury Jackson.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this information.
Of course.
I'll see about relaying this to the others.
Yeah, give my best to you and your friends. And if you have anything you need, don't be afraid to call. You know, you can reach me anytime here at Prospero House. And I'm sure Carlton will tell you the exact same thing. Don't lose touch, okay? Jackson's gone. I need to keep in touch with the people that he left the mark on if I'm gonna keep really, getting on. God. Well, shit. 30 minutes past due for lunch. Look, hey, Mason, kid, great to talk to you again. Again, send my best to you and your friends. And hey, if you're ever back in the neighborhood, stop by.
Of course. Hey, you can keep the whiskey, by the way.
Oh,
I
will.
Meant to be a gift.
Yeah, get out of my office.
Of course. Take care. And Mason walks out.
Yep, Mason walks out.
We got some contacts. Excellent.
Let's cut back up to Massachusetts again. So, let's go up to after spending, some time at the Sullivan household. Kit and Sunil, both of you together, are you guys going? You guys are going to Harvard?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, two of you make your way over to Harvard, which, Kit, your old stomping ground back from the college days. Find easy enough to find the Widener Library. The campus is blanketed under snow. You got the students who are milling about the place, but it's very easy to find the Widener building. Very familiar sight, and very little has changed in these parts in the years you've been away, Kit. But you walk into the library. Give me 1 second. This music track is by Upgraded Moon, by the way. Our very own Jordan.
He's so good.
He's so good.
Thank you.
Very good track.
He's so good.
He's so good.
So good.
Hey, did you guys know that at Upgraded Moon is, so good?
God, he's just so good.
Thank you.
Let me find the page. Aha! I found it. Yeah, so Kit, once you get to the library, since this is familiar territory for you, what are you immediately looking for?
Probably the first thing that Kit would do would be to find the reference desk, since he's actually familiar, I think you mentioned previously, with Miss Atwright, the reference librarian. And, the first thing he is going to do is return the book and ask a little more about it, especially considering we have a letterhead from Harvard and the inquiry.
Yeah, you make your way to the reference desk, and sitting behind it is a slender, angular woman with curly, graying blonde hair, wearing, a conservative dress, round frame glasses, pearl necklace. She looks up at you as you approach the desk, very unassumingly, over the bridge of her nose, and just says, good morning. She looks over at a nearby clock. Afternoon. How may I help you?
Good afternoon. Actually, have a bit of an interesting return to give back to you, and if you have some time, would you mind just having a chat?
Well, I'm always happy to have a chat. There's not much going on at the moment. A return, you say? You don't strike me as a student around these parts.
No, it is it's been a while. I graduated quite a time ago.
Did you? How long?
Oh, Kid sort of like he's trying to find a good way to say before the war, but he's not really good at words. Around 1917.
1917.
Yes.
You do look a little familiar. Forgive me if I don't remember you.
Let me help you out a little bit. And Kit sort of like turns his face so that like the right side is hidden.
Huh.
The voice is different, but I was a medical student.
This does ring a familiar chord. I feel like I have met you before. Well, welcome back to the Widener Library. I assume you remember me, of course.
Naturally.
You mentioned a return you needed to make. Well, you're definitely very past due, mister, so let's have at it.
Sullivan, is that right? Kit Sullivan. And Kit will take the book, The Dark Sects of Africa, out of his bag and sort of slide it across the counter. It has a bit of a sordid history, but a friend of mine actually made some inquiries and...
Jackson Elias!
Yes!
He was in here not in here. He contacted me 2 months ago, I believe. He was looking for this very book. Oh, charming gentleman. Really cultured, really worldly. He had so many fascinating stories. I was so sorry to tell him that this book was not in our collection anymore. Where did you find this?
Funny story. Kid's sort of like, it was actually recovered in a police raid in New York City, of all places.
Police raid in New York? Over what?
Police raid.
Oh, I am so sorry, sir. I was looking at me getting lost. My name is Miriam Atwright, and you are?
Hello, I'm Sunil Pandey.
A pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr. Pandey.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Yes, the book was recovered in a police raid over a very sordid affair in relation to Mr. Elias.
How is Mr. Elias, by the way?
He isn't with us anymore.
As in
He.
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh
Yeah.
dear. I apologize profusely. I had no idea. My deepest condolences. I didn't know the man a lot, but my contact with him was... Look, I won't mince words. He tickled my more ghoulish sense of humor.
Your assessment of him was very accurate.
Yeah.
Now that is a loss. My condolences. Well, yes, 2 months ago, Jackson contacted me looking for this very book. I wasn't able to fulfill the request, however. This book had gone missing a few months prior. We didn't know how. It vanished under mysterious circumstances, but there was an unspeakable odor in the collection the day we noticed the sect's book was missing. I am terribly happy to see it restored back to our collection, even if it's a little worse for wear. But the best books are always the most read ones. She begins flipping through the book and sees the stamp and just begins to pull out cards and indexes and begins filing this back in, puts the book on a shelf. Surely you didn't come all this way just to return this one book?
Well, I mean, that was a good portion of it, but we were interested in seeing what other related texts were here in terms of, related to this particular book.
Well, I'll tell you what I told Jackson. I mean, he was looking for this specific book, but the Widener collection tends to, much to my own chagrin, I will admit, not have as many texts quite as resourceful as the sect's one. Probably a scant few findings, but if there's anything, as an admirer of Jackson's work, if there is anything Miriam Atred can do to assist you, I am happy to help.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you kindly. Out of character, I have to drop out for a little bit to just like think.
You're good. I will tell you right now that there's nothing else you can really get from the Widener Library.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's totally fine.
Kit will probably actually ask about like, what do you mean by the unspeakable odor? Like, did you find anything? Just some more like
nothing at all. It was the strangest thing. The book mysteriously vanished. We found no trace except for a stench unimaginable. We had to open all the windows, and, well, it took a long time for that scent to waft away. Never, ever found any semblance of trail as to where the sect's book went. But clearly, it went to New York, so I'm happy to have it back in the collection all the same.
Do you happen to have, and actually, I don't think Kit would know this because this wouldn't be something that he would have been like particularly into at his time at Harvard. But
Yeah,
do you have a do you have a more secure area when it comes to certain like rarer manuscripts or something of the like?
Oh, we certainly do have rooms for such purposes. What are you after?
Kit sort of nods. This book might be a good candidate for that, considering where it was found under the circumstances.
Well, you are happy, if it is the very least I can do, use one of the reading rooms to pore over the sect's book at your own leisure whenever you're in.
Okay. Out of character, what Kit is trying to imply is like, maybe you should just keep it under some closer watch.
I see.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, Harvard is definitely more aware of the security risk at hand here in the library, so we will keep a much better eye on it. You have my word at the very least.
Thank you, Miss Atred. You are a treasure as always.
Oh, stop it, Mr. Sullivan. Oh, my apologies, Dr. Sullivan.
Much appreciated. So you said, out of character, you said there was like nothing else that we could find in the Widener Library. Would that include like other potential things?
I was about to ask Xander. Typically, I keep up with this, but we're at the point where there's more on the list that I have checked than I haven't checked. I don't know if this is like a bit too much to ask, but out of what I haven't checked, is there anything that would probably be here?
I mean, like nothing specifically that I have written down, but if there were like researches you wanted to embark on, it's a big library that you could do, but no specific topics are immediately coming to my mind.
Cool.
Yeah, so unless there's like a specific thing you want to research, I don't have anything like hardcore being like, yes, this thing can be found in the Widener Library.
Well, no, I figured not. I guess my question was more of,
oh, am I remembering things
I haven't checked?
Right. I don't. You may not have researched all of the books Sybil won at auction yet, but really that can be done at any sizable library. So
because Neil's just like, I'm in a library, I need to do things. So, God, he has been thinking recently about like whether or not he might be able to, even though you said there's nothing that they'd find here specifically, he has been kind of like, okay, there are two things that there was one thing, because the other thing they didn't get the name of because they weren't in the basement when they were walking. Would, I guess, just looking up certain African folklore in general would be...
Sure. I mean, if you want to, I mean, you're in Boston for a bit of a period of time. How many days actually are you guys planning to be up here?
Sunil looks at Kit.
Kit's sort of like at this point, it's more of a as long as he can manage sort of thing. Probably no longer than a week at this point, since I think you mentioned 8 days was a sweet spot for the books when it came to Sybil and stuff. So.
Yeah, Sybil would be getting the books on the 4th of February, I believe.
Yeah, so the idea would probably be that we would be heading back to New York on the 4th or back already on the 4th.
Okay, cool.
Which is short, but circumstances, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, no check required, I'll say, for like for because this is not really what you mentioned, bro, because actually this is by default mentions what Miriam can do. She will help you, she can help you over the course of like 1 12-hour day, just kind of like digging through books. Largely not much new information to dig up on that front. I'll say in the meta, there's actually was another venue for possibly figuring out what the symbol on Jackson's forehead was, tying it back to the bloody tongue cult. So it's like, yeah, you find a lot of similar information, but you're thorough with Miriam's help, who is ghoulishly interested in all these occult details. Yeah, nothing like specifically on the African death cults or African, stuff that you've you've already found is
his brain was just like, we killed the Chakotay. Sybil described it to me. Yeah. I kind of want to look more into that. So when I specified folklore instead of cults for
yeah, folklore. Yeah, for sure. Nothing on the Chakotay. Like specifically, you find there's a lot of stuff in the library, but like nothing specifically on the Chakotay, other than maybe the vague gleamings that probably give you the idea of, oh, this is more of a mythos subject than a folklore subject, in the sense of what we know.
Good. I mentally go to the Brain Council. Is there anything anyone is thinking that hasn't been looked at? Because Sunil's kind of like he's genuinely just like, I'm in a library, I gotta use it.
Mason of the Brain Council says set the library on fire. It's not a good idea, but you should do it.
We are sitting Mason of the Brain Council down, and he is not allowed to speak for the next until I am out of this room. So
don't put it down. There's so many interesting things here. What are you doing?
I just like fire. I'm sorry.
The council is down.
The council is down? All right. Understandable. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Punch by the door.
Okay.
Everybody, don't forget to clock out.
You were supposed to clock in?
Overtime. God damn it.
Don't worry about it, man.
Anyway. Yeah, no, we, in that case, then anything that I've thought to look up, I've looked up, and you've made pretty clear is probably best looked for in London. So, like,
yeah, sure, yeah. Okay, cool. Then Atwis, bro, I feel you guys good with that Boston content?
That was good Boston content. Thank you.
Alrighty. All right. What do you think, gang? Should we cut to around February 4th?
Good for me.
Good for me.
Cool.
I'm down. Kristen?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. I mean, yeah, if there's anything you want to do beforehand, that's totally fine. No? Okie doke. Cool. I mean, yeah, so then the intervening a little over a week from that point on in Boston, Sunil, Kit, you have a good time with the family. Mary, sad to see you go, but, but glad to have the time with you. Specifically on the way out, reminds you that she's very proud of you.
Yeah, no, Kit would just sort of hug her and sort of like kiss the top of her head and just, I'll try to be back sooner more than later then.
Great. The rest of you who are in New York, is anyone going to meet Kit and Sunil at the train station for when they get back? Since you guys probably know that they're getting back, I mean, I imagine Sybil is same day is just like, I'm getting my books. I can go meet my friends too.
Getting my books.
Yeah,
I was thinking about having Mason like come over there to pick them up. Would it be possible that he could come with a rental car to drive them around?
Yes, on the sheer stipulation that Sybil has forced you to make a quick trip up to Westchester to grab those books from the Carlisle collection.
Sure, I can do that.
I think that's fair to say.
Accidentally drives on the wrong side of the road. Shit.
And
okay.
that's how the two of them died, by running into the Hudson on an icy road. No, yeah. So like, you have the rental car. You're driving it around, getting your practice in. Kit and Sunil, you guys disembark from your train to see. Chris, let me pitch you a mental image, and you tell me if this is correct. You have. And Jordan, I'm lumping you into this. Mason, who's standing at the front of the car door, very much trying to like be like, "Hey, chauffeur friend." Sybil, who is in the back with a stack of books in a big fur coat, just waving like "Bon voyage."
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. Mason's got like a little lean on the car to be like, "That's right, I'm driving." I'm applying my new knowledge.
God, I'm pretty sure.
If you press the brake in the grass.
If I may take a rein here,
Please.
I'm pretty sure they walk off the train. As per the first episode, Kit is in fact holding Sunil's bag.
Yeah.
They walk off the train. Sunil sees them. He's palpably a lot happier than you last saw him. A lot lighter, you know. God, I have a question to ask, but Atlas probably wants to say what Kit is.
No, please go ahead.
He sees Mason, he sees Sybil, he sees them being themselves as per usual, and he smiles for a bit, and then he looks a little confused, and he's like, "Where's James?"
God, have we approached the car yet, or just asking you, Sunil?
I assumed that. I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Do you want this to be a thing Sunil asks Kit, or a thing that Sunil asks them?
That's a Sunil question, not a Kit question.
I know. I'm asking you in a sense of like in this brain space because you've given me the space to say if they've walked up or walked. If that makes any sense.
I maybe sort of like a half and half, like it was like a said out loud sort of thing, and just
understandable. Yeah. Maybe they've started walking forward. Yeah, they've started walking forward, and Sunil is slowly like looking up and down the car a little bit. He tilts his head a little bit. He looks at Kit. He looks at them. He says out loud enough where everyone can hear him, "Where's James?"
I don't actually know. Out of character, I don't know. So
He's taking it easy as of right now. But in the meantime, I can take us back if you guys would like to.
A random fucking dude walks up and goes, "Hey, you gonna take this fucking cab or what?" And like starts moving for the car.
No.
Not your cab.
Ah, Jesus fucking Christ, and walks away. Like,
not your cab.
Pop the trunk, Mason. I got this.
That's right,
Yeah.
Mason Allen, pop in the trunk.
God, yeah. Kit sort of like, settles everything in, fucking opens the shotgun seat for Sunil and then settles in the back with Sybil and just...
I get to sit up front. I was left in the car.
So, how's it, everything been going all right for you all down here?
Sybil, pointedly looking at the books in her arms. No, but, I'm sure eventually everything will be fine. So, it's fine.
So we have entered a Telltale game, and you see at the very top.
oh no.
of the screen, Sunil and Kit will remember.
Oh God.
Though with that being said, Mason Mason does kind of like look in like the rearview mirror back at Sybil. Hey, so before we get back, has James ever been one to, you know, appreciate gifts?
Yeah.
So how about we pick something up for him on the way home? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. And Mason tries to pull out, realizes it's in forward. Oh, my bad. Hold on. I'm still getting used to it. Puts it in reverse to
God, I'm in front.
to pull out.
Yeah. And so we go.
And so they go.
And so we go.
I think it is safe to say, for just the sake of like narrative pacing, because I feel like everyone has kind of like put their feelers out, all the things they want to like immediately do. Unless there's anything else anyone else to throw up at the last second. I think otherwise it's safe to say, I mean, Jordan, I assume that you actually let everybody know, hey, I had drinks with Jonah. He gave us contact information for people over in England.
Yeah, it would be something that I was thinking about relaying in the car.
Hey, yeah, totally.
On the ride back.
Hey, Sunil.
Yeah?
When Mason mentions the scoop, that's like if somebody here in America said, yeah, a publisher for the National Enquirer. Like, you know that is like a scandalous tabloid newspaper over in London.
You know, I feel as though he has two responses to this. His first response is, oh. His second response is, oh. Actually, no, he has three. His third response is, oh.
Oh. So yeah, you catch everyone up to speed on that. And if it's fair to say with everybody else, am I to assume that you guys are going through the preparations of looking into to sea travel to make your way across the pond to England?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best port to go to.
I assume Sybil's going to insist on a good passenger liner.
But of course.
But of course.
Best of the best.
Which I think this probably leads to like not like a heated, but a somewhat argumentative like phone call between you and Carlton Ramsey, just being like, you cannot use the fund for everyone to ride first class.
Then I'll use my own money.
Sure, split it even 50. Yes, I will you cover your expenses, I will cover the people traveling second class.
We have a deal.
It's 200, yeah, because like I think like where the fuck is my travel dossier? Because like looking at the boat travel, where the fuck are you? I was just looking at this. Not that money bookkeeping is a huge deal in this campaign because it's more pulpy, but just for like the reference of why Carlton has this perspective, is I think like for example a first class ticket on a passenger liner from New York to London is like $270.
Damn.
Oh fuck.
That's fine.
So yeah. Yeah, that's something that you're handling for your own self, but like the fund will happily care for the much more reasonably priced to help cover for everybody else's travel expenses. So that's handled as part of Jackson's will. Yeah, I mean, you guys get on to a ship called the Laurentide, which is bound from New York to Southampton, where you'll probably have to take a train from like Southampton to London after disembarking. But you book your tickets, you pack your bags, you resolve any final business you may have, like saying goodbye to anyone you feel like you need to. You guys probably like reach out to like Hilton and Millie again, I assume.
Oh god, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Hell yeah. Well, with that in mind, give me one moment.
One more thing.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Before we got on the liner,
yes,
were we being followed?
Make a fucking spy hidden check.
Hee hee, floor is wet. Hee hee. I can't see shit.
You can't see shit. It's snowing. I'm dumb. And no, basically Mason, like getting through the whole Port Authority, getting it onto the train, onto the ship, kind of keeping your eyes surrounding. Am I being followed? I mean, like, you don't know. You truly do not know if you're being followed. But at the moment, not something to be concerned with. You're hopping on a boat. You dealt with being followed once. Maybe you'll deal with it again. That's not reassuring in the slightest, just the reality of the situation. Where the hell is this thing I'm trying to pull up? Give me 1 second. Stall! Cast, go!
So, like, boats.
Basin dives in the water and attempts to keep up with the boat.
Did someone say boats?
Yeah, boats.
We're swimming.
We're going on a trip, everybody.
We're swimming.
Let's swim, everybody. Actually, we don't need to swim because we're on a fucking boat, you idiot.
Brutal.
I'm so tired. It's been a week. I'm tired already.
It's been a week. He's dying.
I'm exhausted.
How was seeing your mom?
I was seeing mom.
It was better than I thought it would be. That's for sure.
Well, that's lovely.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not really important either way. So.
Sure, okay.
Was everything okay while we were gone?
Personally, yeah, everything's been pretty okay for the most part. I talked with Jonah a little bit, but it's been a very quiet week for me.
There's just this palpable relief on Kit's face. Good. No, that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
Well, go ahead.
Did I give the rental car back before we got on the boat?
And on that note, a lot of you are looking at probably about, given the weather, the time of the year, probably 9 days on the ocean together, on the Laurentide, headed for Southampton, on a passenger cruiser, to the next stretch of your journey, as the lot of you will now head across the pond and all the way to England. Until then, we will see you all next week, same time, same place, as we continue Call of Cthulhu, Masks of Nyarlathotep, as the Disaster Gang embarks from New York to England to find out what awaits them there. Until then, Cthulhu Fatagan.